Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bomb bass. Romp past your mom, dads, listening to Tomcats, talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. All right, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. It is the second week of February, and you know what that means. We are covering a movie from 1976. We have done one from every year since 1970, every week. 1970, 71, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we're up to 6 here. I am Colton Robertson, and I'm joined by Joseph George. What is up, homie?
What is up? It's always a pleasure to be here.
It's always a pleasure to have you. And for 1976 here, we're talking Taxi Driver, starring Robert De Niro. And what a movie.
What a movie.
The darkest we've gone thus far and away. And I've heard plenty about this film in the past. This was my first viewing, however.
Mm-hmm.
And I really did not know what I was in for.
Nope.
Even with the direct comparison I've gotten to the Joker, and boy oh boy, after seeing this movie, is it like,
a mirror image?
The Joker is literally made because this movie exists.
Mm-hmm. Like, the script is the exact same. Like, goes through legitimate costume changes, like legit.
Yeah,
it's literally the same movie. Like, just with a different twist, you know? A clown instead of a taxi driver is literally the only difference.
That's it.
And like, just have different hobbies, you know? One's, I don't know. Like, what a role to have to fill for one. Like, that's what I kept thinking about.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a,
having to play that role. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Whoa. That, like,
a weird headspace you have to enter for that, for sure. But let's lay the groundwork for the people. Taxi Driver released February 9th, 1976. Interestingly enough, as we're here on February 11th. That's kind of fucking crazy, if you ask me. Wild how that lined up there. Written by Paul Schrader and directed by Martin Scorsese. And this is really, like, I got the DVD for this. I got a collector's edition from sometime in the 90s or 2000s, and got it for real cheap. But on the box it says that this is the one that launched Paul Schrader as a writer, launched Scorsese as a director, and launched De Niro as an actor. And I will say, that's a bold statement. Coming off of 1974's Godfather 2, where he played a young Vito Corleone and was nominated for Best Supporting Actor and won.
Say that's probably his launch there. Maybe.
I'd say so too.
Yeah,
I mean, as a leading man, perhaps.
True.
And boy, did he have a role to fill here. And I'd argue he filled it well.
He did a great job. Like, he made me feel uncomfortable. If that was his goal, or if that was the goal of this movie, which I think it was, make you physically cringe a few times. Yeah, like, you had that, like, you know, just like, it's hard, just physical cringe. Everyone knows, like, everyone's cringed before.
This is another one that is interesting to watch in the modern day, because several components of it have not aged particularly well.
There's two types of cringe in this movie. There's the cringe of just the time is different and a lot of things are just not acceptable. And then there's the cringe of like you feel bad for De Niro, like his character, like that cringe, the secondhand embarrassment cringe,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like whenever he's like just getting denied or like just he's so awkward, like
Well,
oh my god, I could not even act that awkward, like that's so hard to do, like I couldn't like the amount of time between like sentences, like the just awkward
when he would
pauses
just sit there and stare at somebody
oh my
and just be like,
god. Oh, like you have like he had to have been just on something. Like I don't know. I like method acting or I don't know, like there's no way a normal person can just go from normal life and switch into that and then go home and then be like, all right, I'm a normal guy now with a family. Like
yeah, it's interesting, and it is interesting to see how Robert De Niro has aged and who he's become, and like in the public eye and stuff. Like he was very, very vocally like fuck Trump, and like he's a pretty far left individual, it seems, and I would not have guessed that from Taxi Driver. I mean, he's got the worker class spirit, but boy, oh fucking boy.
he was just fed up, I guess. He was fed up. Too dirty. Cleaned it up. Flushed the toilet.
Think the thing that really, really, like, you got a veteran who's clearly seen shit. That's got to be why he's not sleeping at night. Almost certainly. Nothing's helping. So what do? You go to the porno theaters and you try to become a taxi driver and do all this and that. And whenever you are an insomniac in 1970s New York City who cannot sleep at night, it'll lead you down some gritty paths, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was hard to watch. Like, and just like, you really see it the first time he takes her out on a date. And he takes her directly to the porno theater and is like, oh, I'm sorry, I just thought this was... I just thought this was a normal thing to do on a first date.
Yeah, like are they like, this is like part that like confused me a little bit. Like, are they just playing it off that he's just like socially inept? Like he's so, like just being a soldier just made him so, like, is that what they're going for? Or like, does he have like something?
I think he's got something chemically wrong.
Yeah,
he is actively psychotic. Like it's not
because he's taking meds, and they never like explain what they are. It just shows him taking them under like stressful situations,
Yeah.
So I can only assume that they're meds for some psychological problem. But I don't know, like they kind of like he's dumb. Like like there's just not in like a mean way. I don't mean that. But like I'm trying to word this in a way like I'm just trying to find how to word this. Like he's not stupid, but like
no, because he's quick on his feet. Relatively, like
there are certain things
he had wits about him, but it was just like a lack of common sense. Like there was something that just kind of disconnected, so that like the way that he thinks isn't the norm. It just isn't.
Okay, because I didn't know if they were trying to just play off that he was just like dumb or something like that. I thought like,
and that's another thing that's confusing. And I think we've had this conundrum before so far in this film. Where it's like, or not so far in this film, but in this journey through 52 years of film where we watched 1970s MASH, and we were like, do they want us to like them? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that the goal of this movie? And I think the part of the goal of this movie in specific is like trying to get you to like, at least try to make you think about how you feel about this guy. Whether you empathize with him or not, like you take that with you, and I think it was just so clear all the different places you see this film's influence. Like, obviously, the Joker. There were so many scenes where I was just like, this is them in the back room at the Bada Bing and the Sopranos just hanging out talking.
Bada Bing.
Like, they were just, there were some conversations those dudes had that just weren't relevant in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, this man, just as a first viewing, you know, like I'm fresh off, you know, I'm very fresh off. I've really given no time to think. I've only consumed this random movie.
Oh yeah, like I just watched and finished this 30 minutes ago. Like,
when you think you know, like you think you know what's coming next, like just think again. Like, you think you know where the movie's going? No. Like, I was like, okay, he's gonna kill this, you know, presidential candidate.
Oh, and it was like so obvious that, like, and spoilers for the Joker here, like it was like that's the Robert De Niro in the Joker character who he resents for the wrong reasons and ends up killing. You know what I'm saying? Like, or not the wrong reasons necessarily, but resents them to a too far
I just
degree.
put those together, that De Niro is actually in the Joker too. Like, yeah, they straight up like just took that movie and they're like, hey, like, yeah, do you want to be the bad guy in this one? Like, do you want to be your, like, dude, like, that's insane how similar these movies are. Like, it kind of makes me like, I don't know, it kind of elevates Joker for me a little bit.
No, I mean, like, I get that. Like, it's so clearly influenced, and it does get its,
I don't know.
It does have its pros outside of it. But, like, I'm down to the wardrobe, bro. There were outfits this dude wore that I was like, I saw this in that movie. You know what I'm saying?
Like, there's a line where it's like paying homage and like drawing inspiration, and then like there's a line of just straight up stripping something and using it as like your own, you know? And like, I feel like the Joker kind of went a little too far. Like, they're paying homage definitely by just taking the script and just changing Taxi Driver to the clown. I don't know, that's kind of crazy. I really liked the Joker movie. Like, I thought it was like original. Whenever I watched it, I thought it was like really original and like, wow, that's such a creative story. And like, it was like sad, depressing, but like riveting. Like, wow.
You're watching this going, wow, this is a really original story. It's just sad but riveting. Wow.
Wow, man. That, like, this is why we're doing this, you know?
Exactly. It's exactly why we're doing this.
Like, if we would have had this movie knowledge, we would have watched Joker and been like, oh, this is Taxi Driver. You know, like
Taxi Driver.
Like, we had the opposite reaction that you should have. Like, people like are like, I don't know. I guess our age just, I don't know, haven't really seen, like, it's not a movie that.
It's like, what are you gonna do? Like,
but we should have had the opposite reaction. We should have been watching Joker and been like, oh, this is Taxi Driver, instead of being like, oh, this is the Joker, like from Taxi Driver.
Yeah, I get you.
But I'm glad, you know, it's now that we know now, you know.
Well, and like, I'd read that everywhere whenever the Joker was coming out. It was like, it's very much so, and like, it's in the same. I never read to what extent it seemed to be derived from this movie. I just read that it was like, oh yeah, that movie is so obviously inspired by Taxi Driver, and like, fuck, it stands out whenever you watch this after you've watched the Joker. It's kind of wild. But I really do. I think that I do think this movie is very visually stunning. The colors are incredible. The montages of him driving in his car, driving in his taxi, of just the road and the rain and the blurred lights every once in a while. I just loved that. It looked awesome. The opening title sequence was fucking cool.
And the end, like, of the camera, like, going, like, from the ceiling. And then, like,
yes.
That shot was so cool. Like,
oh, that was my favorite shot of the movie.
I was thinking, like, okay, damn, this is 1976. Like, that's a legitimate camera, like, moving on a big-ass crane above a whole set. Like, that's legit in camera. Like,
yeah.
Like, you can't have a CG camera, like, you know, back then. Like, I'm like, damn, they really did that. And, like, everyone's just laying there, and they're, like, it looked real.
Standing perfectly still. Like, they like, made it like some sort of, like, Renaissance painting to top the movie off. Like, it was like it was some romantic, like, and that was the thing, is that they really romanticized the shit out of this ending. And I do like the perspective that you throw out there at the end. Well, let's get to the end in a little bit. Let's talk more about the core of this film. You know, whenever Travis, it really starts taking off whenever he discovers the angel, Betsy, and he starts following her around and is really, 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 really coming on strong, to a point where you're like, God damn, man. Like, I was like, you did a good job in that first interaction, even though it was still super creepy. Like, you still managed it, and I don't know how you did that. Good on you. But, bro, you can't do that again. You can't keep doing it. And then the fact that you go on one date and you keep calling her and calling her and calling her. You come to her place of work and threaten to fight people there. Bro, you're in the wrong here.
He just doesn't realize, man. That's the whole thing about him, is that he doesn't know that he's, like, wrong. Like, he's very literal. Like, very, very literal. Like, you should see what a 44 Magnum can do to a person. He gets a 44 Magnum. You know, like, like, everything that he's told by people, like, he legitimately takes that, like, as advice. The wizard, his grand advice that he gave him, you know, of, once you have a job, that's what you become and that's who you are, you know, you never change and that's okay. Or, it's what you're supposed to be.
That's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
That was one of my notes. It was, he's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. And, like, I was writing my notes, like, as he was speaking, I wrote, the wizard quite possibly gave the worst advice speech a man could have. And then I hear De Niro go, I don't know. That's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And then I'm like, no, it was thank just perfect. You. I was like, oh wow, he took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, you really knew exactly where I was going with that. And you know, that does motivate him for a while. It's and you know, it's driven by his lonesomeness. This dude's so terribly alone because days never end. He's so tired and he cannot go to sleep. No one to spend his time with. He drives alone in a car all the time with people in the backseat literally divided from him. Like,
it's a great metaphor. Like, the taxi, like, I didn't understand, like, I just thought, like, the taxi part was just part of the movie. You know, I didn't really think too much about it, but, like,
he doesn't get treated like a person.
It makes perfect sense. Like,
people do whatever they want in the back of his cab and then expect that he just won't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm. He's just a service, you know? Like, he's not even human at that point.
No, yeah, and, like, that's one of the things that can be taken and go, that's what this movie did well, is that it's like, it really portrays lonesomeness in this real way that is relatable, that you don't, like, you're obviously like, we don't take it to that level. That's obviously the level of someone who has something wrong going on and needs help. But it can also be the whole, like, hey, there are less white male rage ways to show lonesomeness. 'Cause this dude just gets angry and is like, and, like, blatantly racist throughout the movie. Like, he's just like, I don't know, man. Like, whenever he takes him aside and is like, he's just, like, grappling with the thought of wanting to kill people. He's like, I don't know, man. I'm just getting these bad thoughts. Like, and like, he like recognizes them as something he shouldn't want to do, but it's like absolutely something he can't keep his mind off of. And it's like, God damn, this dude is sick.
Yeah, he was, I don't know. I did feel bad for him. Like, I think like it's like he's like innocent in a way, like, but not,
and that's the thing, is that he's like the whole, and this is what I think the Joker did well, is that I think the whole Arthur Fleck being a victim of the system thing works a little better there through the lack of support through his disability checks and stuff like that. Like, that makes sense. And then this does too, the way we treat our veterans. Like, this dude can't get a well-paying job and then can't get on welfare and can't get all this can't get any of this shit. He has to work 7 days a week sometimes, literally all day and all night. Like,
and even down to the diary journals, like, Joker's the same. Like, even like, I'm every detail. Like, that's kind of crazy that they got away with that. Like, that's wild. I really don't want to bring this to the Joker too much, because is the original, like
something in recent, like this, the whole context of this thing, we are watching it in 2022. Like, and what we've seen recently that has been clearly influenced is the Joker. So that's a fair topic to bring up, I think.
Yeah, it's like, man, I don't know. I was just like, this guy's just in just a real, like, the wrong place, wrong time. Like, he's just not getting the help he needs. Like, he felt innocent, like, he felt like everything around him was doing it to him, Like,
and what was interesting about, like, the wizard character, the way that whenever they're sitting down and they're being, like, real homophobic about the two guys that were in his backseat, and then, like, the guy was like, well, hey, you should tell them they should go to California. And then they're like, no shit. Yeah. California, you get a divorce, you get to split it up and stuff. Like, it's legal.
They're like, yeah, California's way ahead up there.
Yeah, they're way ahead of they're way ahead up there, California. I was like, and then whenever he takes him outside and he's like, Wizard looks at him, he goes, what, something's got you down, huh? And he's like, yeah, they got me real down. He's like holding back tears, and he's like, happens to all of us, man. Like, it seems like all of them are kind of held back by the constraints of 1976. It's so strange.
Yeah, they all of those other taxi drivers kind of felt like the same person, just in different bodies.
Yeah.
To me, like, it was kind of like they were all just one guy.
Well, I think that was kind of the point,
Yeah.
He says, you do a job for so long, you become that job, you're okay doing that job. And they all became the job. They all have the same experiences. They all do the same shit every night. They're bound to start being the same, which I think is an interesting statement to make, and I think it's something this movie was definitely trying to tell you. And I think it's something that, like, Travis actively tries to avoid. Like, I think whenever he goes and meets with them, he kind of resents them. Like, not like I get that. Well, I get the sense of resentment towards everybody from Travis. I think that's kind of part of his thing. But you really feel it there. Like, I don't think he really likes the people he's around at all. And whenever he finds Betsy, he lashes onto Betsy. Now, whenever the whole Betsy thing doesn't work out, drives him further into his lonesomeness, right? Drives him to the point where, after he has looked this senator in the eye, been like, yeah, love you, man. I'm gonna vote for you. I told everybody to vote for you. I want to put your sticker in here, but they wouldn't let me. They don't know anything, man. They don't know anything. That he was like, all right, fine. I'm gonna buy every gun, and I'm gonna shoot him with it. And it was just
that freaking drawer slide thing he made. Not gonna lie, pretty freaking sick.
No,
Like,
that's incredibly and that's the thing is that here's another example of something where it's he's clearly not a dumbass.
mm-hmm.
He
Shit, I wouldn't have thought of that. Like
no,
that was some genius level shit right there. Like as
that's
far as concealing a weapon and for an assassin, like if you're going for that sort of thing, like that dude had he had it down.
yeah.
I don't know,
It was just his nerves that really fucked him in the end. Whenever he's being really holding on to the inside of his jacket, it's and you already talked to the guy for an extended period of time. Come on, man, you were weird as fuck.
the Mohawk. What do you think?
What do you think's inconspicuous about a Mohawk?
There was nothing. It was just as a Mohawk now, no nothing. Just boom, there it is.
Yeah, that little pan up
and
where they were like, "Whoop! Oh yeah, he's got a new haircut."
I was like, "What?" "What?" And
another one of the interesting things about this movie, though, is the guilt that he kind of carries for being the service and not a person. So it's not only does he view himself in some way as a victim, but then on top of that, he becomes
feels like
guilty.
He's part of the problem.
He feels like he's part of the problem as well. Whenever the 12-and-a-half-year-old sex worker gets in the back of his car and is like, "Please take me away from me."
That's a lie. I hope he was lying, just saying that because the younger the number would be more appetizing. I hope was she supposed to be 12-and-a-half?
The actress was 12-and-a-half.
The Kansas City Film Critics Circle Award awarded her the Best Supporting Actress.
Oh, and she deserved it. And
yeah.
the fact, and knowing that she was 12,
wow,
whenever she was acting in this is incredible. She
insane.
pulled that role off fucking incredibly. She was so, and Jodie Foster, it's wild because the most recent thing I watched with her, and it was Hotel Artemis. Did you ever watch that movie?
Mm-mm.
Well, she's the nurse at Hotel Artemis, and it's so funny because she's gray haired and the old wizened lady kind of, and
Not
then now I'm taken back to a her earliest film where she is a 12-year-old girl, and it's holy fucking shit. And it's interesting that this is the thing that Travis can latch onto and recognize as something he needs to fix. They ultimately figured out a way to make you go, okay. There is an outlet in which his rage, while completely inappropriate and executed on horribly,
at least
isn't as evil.
Yeah, at least it's directed towards.
It's directed towards a
greater
positive
evil.
Goal.
It's a lesser evil taking out a greater evil, I guess.
I mean, if you feel like if you're not fucking with this guy here, Travis Bickle, you better not be fucking with Hawkeye, Clint Barton. I tell you that much. That's what I'm gonna say. It's the same thing. You ain't fucking with Travis Bickle. Don't be fucking with Clint Barton, Hawkeye.
True. That's the same thing right there. Yeah, he's taking it up to himself. He thinks I mean that $20 bill, it was the constant reminder that reminded him of that he could have stepped in. And that was I think that was the only thing that was making me still empathize for him. Making me still think he was innocent, was that that he was constantly being reminded and he was fuck,
yeah.
dang.
And you see that showed me there might have been a shred there, but it doesn't gain my sympathy because you did watch him toss the 20 in, you did let him take away the girl, you did watch him in your rear view, and then you did drive off. You don't And I don't think he, like, for me, as I was watching that scene and he was like thinking about it, I think he was just trying to seem good.
Mm.
Like, man, should I really take this 20? And then it's ultimately like, I already did all the other shit. I might as well just take this fucking 20. I already let it happen. The 20's right here. I might as well take the 20. And it's just kind of letting him get these. It's kind of easing him into doing bad things. Like, it's like, all right,
I have
fine, I'll take.
one theory in this movie,
And
I don't think it's that much of a stretch.
Gotcha.
Is that from the point at which Betsy denies him. He hangs up the phone, doesn't get talked to anymore. He's going mad, he's down. He hears the guy, murder guy, like the guy who had his wife cheat on him or whatever, talk to him. It was like, I'm, you really think I'm sick, don't you? From that point on, I think it could have been like a dream sequence or like a vision that he had. Like, he didn't actually do this. And it was all in his head to try to win back Betsy. Like, this was his grand plan to win back the girl. And like at the end, like in my notes, I was like, is this really how it ends? And then I was like, wait, was this all a dream? And then I was like, wait, or is this like now his heaven that he's in at the end where he's like back to normal? Like, is that really happening? Was that really after all of this that happened? Like that's happened. And like, the reason that I'm even theorizing about this is his whole bulletin board of like the newspaper clippings and the letter, like the letter, like words were spelt wrong.
So you think he might have wrote it to himself?
He wrote it himself. I think that was the idea, because the only other time they showed his writing and his handwriting was the exact same in the letter that he was going to send his parents.
Yeah.
So like, this is either like his heaven or like his fantasy, like at the end, or like he legitimately did that stuff. But like, I don't know why the letter would be written. He would write that, Like,
no, yeah, I think that it's probably. I think that from the time we see that part, we hear the. Like, I think he dies on the couch, and then the rest is like the purgatory. That's kind of like his head working hard to make his last moments comfortable. Like, hey, you were a hero. You did this. This is what'll happen. You'll recover, and one day you'll get in that taxi, and she'll be in the back, and you'll be able to just drive off because you did this. You did good. But ultimately, I think that because he doesn't get out of that car and go with her, and he does just drive off, I think that probably means that's him on his way out. Like,
that makes perfect sense.
Him driving off is him dying.
Oh yeah, that makes way more sense.
Because he did it all. He did it all. Like, that's what that last scene makes clear, is he did it all to try and get her back. And in his head, he goes, "That would have did it."
Aww.
All right, I'm good. No, not. Aw, that's just like, oh God.
No, it makes me feel like even worse for him, because like he thinks that would have actually worked. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. As a master plan, like if he really did plan that out and that was just in his head, like maybe like the Senate, the senator or the presidential candidate was like real. Yeah. That was the real part, but then the Iris part was just like or maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I'm my theory's blown. It's just gone now. Like I was just confused at the end because like I was like, wait, is this legitimate? Like, is this happening? Like, I couldn't believe that this dude lived through that. I'm like, no way this dude lived through this.
No,
Like,
yeah, and I think that's an important part of the movie is that like if he like I think that if this movie ends the way it ends on the surface, it's not like the messaging's just like, what the fuck were we even trying to accomplish here? Like, what were we doing?
yeah.
I think it really is just a deeper, like, I really do think that he is existing in his own little unreliable narrator fantasy by the end. The way that we kind of see Joker at the end of his movie in an alternate reality in his head, telling a story while he's talking to a therapist and ultimately murders that therapist. Like, it's like, I think we're dealing with an unreliable narrator. The whole story's told through him. We literally get a first person writing in his journal. There's a good chance that none of the, like, there's a chance that some of it definitely didn't happen.
This, what a movie, actually. Like,
it's an interesting one. It makes you think a lot. I will say I didn't have the funnest time watching it.
Yeah, as an enjoyment, yeah.
Not high on the enjoyment meter by any means. Very well done, extremely well acted, and even well written at several points. It's just like I have trouble pulling a point from the film. It just kind of seemed like a demise into psychological terror that resulted in violence that Scorsese could portray on screen in a bloody fashion, which he is known to do.
What's the point of the Joker? Like, the system, is it really it's not really anything related to the Joker. It's really just the, I think that's what, this movie is not about. Yeah.
Oh, it's not. It's more about how he was a victim of the system, I think.
Yeah, I feel like it's like the real world, like, theme. It's not like we were just seeing it through the lens of a psychotic, crazy person. Like,
who needed help and didn't get it at any point.
That's the only thing I can pull out. Like,
oh yeah, me too. And
like,
I think that's definitely ultimately the point. It's just it's also interesting because, you know, we see the way that Iris reacts at the end. That's an extremely traumatic, scarring event. And I'm sorry if Travis dies there and all those men are dead and then those cops show up. I don't know how hard they try to.
There's a line they said earlier in the movie, like a conversation between the two. He's like, "Why don't you go to the cops?" Well, you know they won't do anything.
Yeah.
Do you think they did anything for her?
No, they didn't.
No.
That's another example of a victim of the system. Like, it's just kind of like at every turn, and that's why he took such offense whenever everyone was like, "What are you? A cop?" No, I'm not a cop. He just sit there and stare at them. Because if you are a part of the system, you are an enemy to him.
Wow. Yeah, the camera work, like, while he's having, like, his breakdown, or, like, while he's going, like, psychotic, like, there were many times where the camera, like, does, like, a 180. Like, it shows, like, here, and then it shows, like, 90 degree, and then another 90 degree. So it, like, legitimately shows you the complete 180. Like, the flip that he's just going through, just, you know, crazy. Like, that, like, just camera work like that, I love. Like, there.
Well,
like,
and there was that part, that part right in the heart of the movie where Betsy turns him down on the phone, and the camera pans away from him before the conversation's even done and just lingers on the hallway.
Yeah, like the camera work was done so well. Like it's almost like the camera was another character, like in the movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it was used so much.
The visual storytelling was so effective, because what that tells me, you pan away from him in that moment, and then he walks into frame. We're entering a new chapter in this dude's cascade into psychosis. Like,
just a lot of metaphors in this movie. Everywhere there's a metaphor. That's kind of the brilliance of the movie, is like everywhere you look, you can kind of draw some crazy metaphor for something. Like the taxi driver, like you said, like the literal division between him and the people in there. Like just all night, the night's going into another. Like it's a literal metaphor for like someone just going down the spiral. Like basically, like it's a perfect job, or just a perfect role for this movie. And like, I don't know, I don't really want to say this movie is genius or anything. Like, it's
inarguably well done. That's the thing, is that like,
no matter how uncomfortable,
it's so visually appealing and so well acted that your instinct is to go, fuck, that was brilliant. It's just that, like, I think it just lacks some plot. Like, it's just kind of like,
there's no like redeeming quality, like
not in this, not really, like
it's not supposed to be, like, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's the whole point, is that there's not supposed to be redemption for someone like that, like if you make those decisions, like even though he is, I don't know, is it really him making those decisions though? Like, I mean, it is, but like,
is the statement they're making in the movie that the system has pushed him to a point where he feels he needs to do this? Is that what they're trying to say to me? And to that, I'd say, I love an anti-establishment sentiment, but you're responsible for your actions at a point, and when it comes to murder, that's the point.
That's true. Yeah, that it's pretty unforgivable there. Like, not just one person, not just two, but 3, 4 people.
5 murdered 4 people in the building itself where Iris was, and murdered the guy earlier in the movie
because there was the guy that was with Iris at the time, the guy who was like, you paid for the room, and then there was,
oh no, then there was just one more guy who tried to shoot him.
Yeah, so 4 guys, 5.
Guy at the door, the pimp,
Sport.
The guy at the door that had the cover feet, the guy that was in the room with Iris, and then the guy at the drugstore. So 4.
Oh, the drugstore. That's right. I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's
And it was also interesting that his first kill was the one that it was like, and it was very purposeful that they were like, they tried to get him in with one that he would feel all right about doing. This guy's getting held at gunpoint, turns on me pointing a gun, I'll shoot him, and let's not act like him being black wasn't a part of it. It's absolutely a part of why he shot this man point blank as soon as he turns around. And that's absolutely part of why the dude who watches him do it is like, that's cool, get on out of here, I'll figure this out.
That's crazy.
And then just starts beating him.
That's crazy that like, in the chaos of this movie, I just forgot that happened.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. Like, so much happened, like, in that span. Like, wow. Yeah, I completely forgot. Holy crap. Yeah, yeah. No, I don't really I don't have any empathy for this guy anymore. Now that I really like of what he did. Like he went on a tear. Like
Oh yeah, he went on a killing spree because I mean, like he literally tells the guy, "I've been getting some bad thoughts, man." Like what he wants to do is kill. It kind of like he's looking for the right people to kill, but nevertheless he has an urge to take life, and that's really what the source of his anger is here. I mean, not the source of his anger, but like the well of his anger has gotten to this point. And as per usual, I hit the high notes here.
Mm-hmm.
And there are points where I was a lot more sucked into the movie than I wasn't, so it's a little back and forth, and it's, total. Like I disengaged for a while from the notes and just went ahead and sunk into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I started with what a credit sequence here up front, because that shit was really, really pretty, really fun to look at. All the lights running together and stuff, and it being all trippy as fuck.
Was sick.
Kind of in a haze, a drug-induced haze, psychotic haze, sort of. And then my next note is porno theaters are expressly designed for the insomniacs, apparently. Because he goes to the dude's desk and is like, hey, I'm an insomniac. I can't sleep at night. That's why I want to be a taxi driver. He's like, that's what porno theaters are for. And I'm like, oh, so like, it's like you can't sleep, go to the theater where they're showing sex movies on repeat, and that's all.
Yeah, I didn't really get it.
I think it was just supposed to like further the desensitization of this guy.
And like the place they ate, was that like only for taxi drivers? Like, cause they walked through the door, they got it was very like
efficient, like
he got a card like every time he walked through the door, like a ticket, and I don't know. Like it seemed like they even ate, like they ate at the same place every time.
True.
Like it was the same place. I think it was like that building, like that diner or whatever is only meant for cab drivers. Like,
yeah.
So literally they're only around other cab drivers. Like everywhere they go. Like,
unless you're an insomniac and you're up all throughout the day and night, you're only around cab drivers.
Damn. New York, that's just rough. Like to make it there, holy crap! Like that'd be so hard. That would be so hard to make. Like,
do me a favor here. Do you got that Watchmen graphic novel sitting nearby?
I do.
Will you open that up and look at the first couple pages and tell me it doesn't remind you of Travis's little journal entry about the city being scum and how the rain will come down and wash out its filth. I feel like that was a direct influence from this movie, was that Alan Moore, writing The Watchmen, took Rorschach and was like, all right, he will also be Travis Bickle.
The streets are extended gutters, and the gutters are full of blood. And when the drains finally scab all over, the vermin will drown.
That's just an eloquent Travis Bickle.
The accumulated filth of all their sex and murder will foam up about their waists, and all the whores and politicians will look up and shout, "Save us!" Yeah, like a Tony Soprano rant, just everything's gone to shit and nothing's good.
I feel like I came in on the back end of this thing.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, it's all just different versions of. I mean, we got it in a Clockwork Orange, even with the homeless dude went off, like that. It's a common character trait in movies like these, it seems, or like a common reaction.
And I one of the things I love about this movie is that, like, Travis directly tells the senator who's in charge of New York, this place fucking sucks. Somebody should do something about that. And the guy sitting next to him was like, oh fuck, that's like directly his job, guy. And you know, the guy's like, "All right, I think I hear what you're trying to say, man. I'll get the fuck on out of here." But I love that, like, he,
he just can't take a hint, you know.
his resentment for, like, he doesn't even know where his resentment is meant to be placed. He just knows he harbors this resentment.
Hey, in your cab,
something.
you have the guy who can do something about it right there. The guy who's responsible, you know. I mean, not solely responsible, but a guy who can do the very thing you're saying, you know. He's right there in your cab, you know. And
well, and that's another thing that I think is interesting too, is that, like, I think there's two ways you can look at what he was saying. Like, it is the political, like, get out on the streets and clean it up way, and then there's the way that he does it later on in the movie by breaking down, shooting a dude up against a door, going inside and killing everybody in there. That's the other way he intends on washing this city out.
That's one of my notes, is when he said, "I think I know what you mean." I just wrote, "Do you?" question mark.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I wrote. I was wondering what "do you" meant, and then you brought that up, and I remembered. But yeah, I don't think he actually knew what he meant, what he was thinking of cleaning up the trash in New York. But wow, for some reason, Robert De Niro reminded me exactly of Jack, the main character of Lost, when he went Mohawk mode in that jacket. I don't know, like, the pan up, like, showing him with the Mohawk for the first time. I'm like, is that Jack from Lost? I think that's his name, Jack. The main guy, Jack. Yeah. What's the actual actor? Jack Shepard. No, that's the played by Matthew Fox is the real guy's name. I don't know. I legitimately thought it was him for a second, but then I'm like, oh wait, this is 1976, so that's not possible. But yeah, that was my one of my last notes. It was Jack. And now
that's outstanding.
A lot of my notes are just like very brief questions or like reactions. Like,
so are mine. Like, I have like, God damn, this dude is disturbed. What the hell is this dude just doing sitting here? Bruh, you can't take your girl to a porn on the first date. Comes on a bit strong. This guy's a strange cat, borderline obsessive. I have one here that says fizzy bubbles.
Yeah, what was that?
I think it was just supposed to kind of show you his disconnect. Like, he doesn't have a care in the world what these fucking guys are saying. Like, okay. I don't have any interest in being here.
That's what I thought. It was like, it seemed like there was a bigger focus on it. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, yeah, he just doesn't really care. Like, he's just zoning out, you know. But it stayed on there for a minute, like, awkwardly long. I guess that's the point of this whole thing, just to make you feel awkward the whole movie.
Yeah, I'll say it certainly did that. It's interesting coming off of like The Clockwork Orange, because that really is like the comparison we can draw most recently amongst the movies we've watched for this project anyway. It's like it definitely intends on making you uncomfortable, but
this felt different. It wasn't.
It takes a back seat to something. Like, the uncomfortability was like the whole point of The Clockwork Orange. The uncomfortability was just kind of something that came with this movie, is what it felt like.
That makes, like, yeah. I came out of A Clockwork Orange enjoying it. You know, I'm like, oh, like, I get it. You know, like, this movie was crazy. You know, it took me on a roller coaster, but I get it. Like, all this uncomfortability was for a reason, and I totally understand it. Like, this movie was awesome even. You know, I like this movie, how crazy it was. But this one, I come out of the movie like, what? That's actually it? Like, I don't know.
This is where it ends, because it's just kind of like nothing. No retribution. Not going to attempt any sort of nothing.
The jazz, the theme,
Whew.
Beautiful.
That fucking score was brilliant. It was a brilliant score.
Literally just the same song over and over and over through the whole
over
movie.
and over and over. And
was there another song in the movie?
I think it might have been a few different songs. They just had the same exact sort of feel, and I think it was kind of the point to make you feel like he's experiencing the same thing over and over and over and over. And I think that's definitely a part of a. I think it's definitely part of the point. But yeah, I don't have a lot of other notes. I said one of my notes here is incredibly unfortunate with this scene about the 12-year-old girl. Just kind of the whole thing made me uncomfortable. I have Jodie Foster acting her ass off for as a 12-year-old. Oh damn, some astrology. He's a Libra, I'm a Libra. That's why we get along so well. You're a Scorpio, I can always tell.
Yeah. She played a really good role. Like, she played that role well. Like, I don't know. I didn't expect her character to be big at all in the movie, like, at all. But she killed it. Like, good on the Kansas City Film Critics Circle Award group on giving her Best Supporting Role. She deserved it.
Amen. She deserved that shit big time.
Just for what she had to go through. Just that awkward, like, for that alone. Yeah. Like, I get, like, that's just weird, man. Yeah, it is just weird.
Yeah, it's like, weird no matter how you spin it. It was an actual 12-year-old actress having to do some actually strange things. No, it's actually weird even on the production side of it.
Yep. I was trying to find any. Nope, I couldn't. Like, there was nothing. It's just weird. It's not. It's just weird. Just rather weird. Not think about it. Moving forward.
But yeah, Jodie Foster is an incredible actress.
Sorry.
She did a really good job. But yeah, man, I don't have a lot else to say about this movie. I think we kind of got it all out there. It was a wild ride to take.
I think the place to start is just our enjoyment rating. I
think you're right,
because a 3 is high.
That's where I'm at. Like, I was thinking, like, I didn't really enjoy it. And I'll get more to that later. Like, what I did think was good. It was good, but I didn't like watching it. It won't be one that I revisit anytime soon. And I think that's a really big factor in my enjoyment rating part of it all. I think the rewatchability aspect is a huge part of my enjoyability. And this just doesn't have that for me.
I guess if you know what's coming, maybe, but still, what's the point?
Nah, I mean, like if you're gonna watch a Martin Scorsese movie, I'd just watch something else.
Yeah,
and we'll get to some more of those later on down the line. But like
I'm thinking like a 2.5 or maybe even lower.
Like, I'm cool. I'm cool throwing a 2.5.
Like a 2.5.
I'm comfortable with
like
that.
Just middle of the road. You know, like it's a good movie, and the aspects that it is like the camera work and visually, but like every part, like
it doesn't outweigh how uncomfortable it made me at points.
Yeah, I'm comfortable giving her a 2.5 in that. What's the genre here? Thriller,
drama,
it's on IMDb as crime and drama.
Crime and drama. As far as a crime film, I'd go 4. And as far as a drama film, 4.25. So like 4.15 overall in that genre category. Like it's like it did a good job at what it was trying to do. It's not the best, and 4 might be giving it a little for the crime genre. Like it might actually be like a straight up 4 in the genre side of things, maybe even lower. But I'm gonna go 4.
I think that's fair. Because like in the part where it lacks for crime, it like the drama, it
really ramps it up
as a drama. Like it gets intense.
And I think it should be pointed out that I was like severely bored for a good half of this movie. I was not into it. I was not into it for a while. It wasn't until you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
I'm the only one here. Who else you be talking?
I'm the only one here. Who else could you be talking to? You're talking to me.
And I was like, fucker. Like him going. Oh man,
I can't believe that's what this is from.
Yeah, like
you talking to me.
Yeah, that was like a part of the movie. You're totally right. You're out of the movie completely. Then you hear, like you're like, wait a minute.
You talking to me?
I've heard that before. Like
no, like I told my dad about. I told my dad, I went upstairs, I was like, I just watched Taxi Driver. We're about to record on it. And he was like, you talking to me? And I was like, I cannot believe that's what this
I thought it was from. Godfather or like, I don't know. Like I was expecting to hear it in Godfather too. And I guess I just didn't really think about it, just because, I don't know, I didn't hear it. But when it popped up, like you're it drawed me back, and it's just a natural part of the movie where you're going to get drawn back because
the whole thing where he's training with the guns, that's definitely the part where the movie takes a turn and becomes a little bit more like, okay, now we're getting to the rising action of this film. It's less about him being so incredibly hard to watch.
Can we talk about how the most put together, organized person in this entire movie, take Betsy out, is the gun dealer who's also a dealer for everything else. He's the
dude. That man was on point.
Said
he had anything ready for you to buy.
Bro was a salesman, literally. That's what he is. He's not. There's nothing in front of his name. He sells all. He's a salesman. That's all he does.
That's all.
Was that the same guy that brought him a piece of the bathtub earlier in the movie?
I don't think so.
Because whenever that happened, the bathtub thing, I'm like, wait, is he gonna like realize that he can just start selling stuff and that is he becoming like a mob boss? Like, is this like a weird mob? Like, is this a mob movie? Like, it's Robert De Niro. Like, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe he becomes like a mob guy. I don't know. That just kind of hit me. I wonder if the dealer was the same guy as the. No, because he introduces him. Like as someone like completely new.
He hops out of the car and he's like, "Hey, this is Paul, the salesman."
Yeah.
And that's just like his whole name. That's his whole thing. He was like, "I can get you an Escalade, pink slip and everything, $2,000."
Get you anything.
I was like, I can get you anything, Coke, up as weed, and like you just like kept going, and I was like, God damn, this man's really on it.
Yeah, no.
Really about his hustle. But with that, what do we settle on a 4 in the genre side of things?
That's fair. Yeah, this is the interesting rating that I like for the movie as a film, like how this movie does. Because like as a film, like the writing and like the story is part of it, like it's not all camera work and visuals and stuff like that. Like,
and that leads me to I mean, it was good. Like there's enough good things about this that critically I can look at it and go, this is a good movie. It's not like I gave it a 2.5 in my enjoyability, but it was absolutely worth the one watch.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Like I'm glad I watched it. And that can only be said whenever critically it was good, but I wasn't going to enjoy it. So I'm gonna throw a 4.25 at it for what I think critically it does. I think it loses some steam because of just how poorly it's aged. It kind of suffers from the same stuff that MASH and A Clockwork Orange before it suffered from. It's just not going to play as well now. However, that doesn't take all the way from what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely deserves its love. So 4.25 is definitely where I'd end up there.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say like at the lowest low would be like 3.8 is like the lowest I'd go as a film, and like the highest I'd say would be like a 4.3. I'd say would be like the highest.
That was my high, and I'd be willing to take it down a little bit if you're willing to go. If you were willing to go as low as 3.8, like.
I mean, in the month of February, Jaws, as a film, we gave it a 4.8. Like a good film. That was a great film. I feel as if 4.2 is a little high. I feel maybe like 4, like a 4 is kind of more fitting.
All right. Meet me in the middle there. Give me a 4.1.
You know, you made me an offer I just couldn't quite refuse. I think I'll meet you in the middle there. 4.1. How about it?
4.1. Okay, we'll agree there on a 4.1.
That average.
So that shakes out to not be. That might be a lower one on the grand scheme so far.
Averages out to a 3.53.
God damn.
Which is only
second lowest,
higher than MASH. Which I like this more than MASH. Did I?
Oh, I certainly like it more than MASH.
Did I? Yes.
I think I enjoyed it. Like, in terms of enjoyment I got from this movie, it's on the same level as MASH.
It's literally the same rating. We gave it the same exact rating. That's funny. We weren't even comparing, and we gave it the same exact enjoyment rating.
Yeah. No, it's just like, and
a 3.5.
That's how it's going to be whenever I can recognize a movie was good, but I wasn't drawn all the way in.
Am I going too low there? Am I going too low as a film? It doesn't really bring it up any. Okay, a 4.25 as a film gives it a 3.58. And
I mean, it really is that 2.5 enjoyment rating that's just destroying it. And like,
I think a 4.1 is fair though. I don't think I'm batting it down too low.
I don't think so either.
Because like a 4.1, that's an 8.2 out of 10. Like,
yeah, exactly. That's a good movie.
That's a great movie. Like, and it is. This movie is definitely just like a great first watch. You know, you won't have to see it again, but glad that you saw it. And I think that's fair.
I think it is too.
I think like every other movie that we've watched so far, like other than MASH, I feel has like been better. Like I think yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
I think I am as well. It is interesting, you know, now that we're done with the second week in February. February right now we've had Jaws and Taxi Driver. How do those films stack up one by one with the totality and rating?
So I should really just have Excel do that as well for me. But Jaws was an average of 4.83. So the highest that we have is the Godfather Part 1 with a 4.93. And then now tied for second is Godfather Part 2 and Jaws. They both have an average of 4.83. And then you go to A Clockwork Orange with a 4.42. Down to...
That one's important for me.
In what way?
Side by side, is A Clockwork Orange that much better to you
than this movie?
Than Taxi Driver? Okay, good. I wanted to make sure. I just wanted to make sure. That was an important one for me in hearing out loud. And
Clockwork Orange, it's almost a whole point, like more than. And
I do think that's it's interesting because you know what I think that might be a result of? A Clockwork Orange was the second movie we watched. Now we have watched The Godfather and 2 and Jaws. Which, that's part of the project. That's part of it. So, like...
I would still rank A Clockwork Orange where it is after watching The Godfather.
Oh, I certainly would too. It's definitely not as... It's definitely where it's supposed to be. But I wonder if immediately we reflected on it more positively because we hadn't seen this other stuff recently.
I see. I mean, it's picking favorites that we've watched so far.
Yeah, I guess it's not top
A
3.
Clockwork Orange, like, actually could be my favorite movie that I've watched so far.
Damn.
Not like best, saying it's the best. It just gave me such a movie experience that I was not expecting at all, and that it ended up being somewhat good at the end. This movie, it gives you that same of like a movie experience that you're not expecting, but then there's no real payoff with it.
I feel that.
And
I feel that.
I don't know, Clockwork Orange, I just...
There's no growth or recession. It's just steady. Whereas in A Clockwork Orange, you get that rise, you get that fall, and you get that rise again at the very end without directly showing you it.
I did watch it again. It's been the only one on the list that I have watched again,
Oh,
actually.
damn. You watched A Clockwork Orange again.
I did watch it again. And knowing, like, what's happening and getting past all the dirty, stuff that's in the movie... Like that, that's coming. Like, it's so good. Like,
okay,
we said that it could.
I might have to give it another watch.
We said that it could be good on like we said in the pod, I think, of A Clockwork Orange, that it could be a really good rewatch movie. Like, and I think we were right. Like this on second watch, like, I don't know.
Well, then hearing that, it makes me want to stand by it even more. Then, like, I'm really happy with where we have A Clockwork Orange compared to this movie. It's just that, like, as I was watching this, I just recalled A Clockwork Orange a lot. Like it was the only other place we had that sort of darkness.
And like, it's becoming like one of my favorite just movies in general.
Whew.
Like just the soundtrack, like the art, like the aesthetic of I'm into like that more, like instead of pulling out like the weird parts of the movie, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. I dig that movie. I think like it deserves up there, like, and as comparing to this movie, like a point above sounds right, like to me. Like,
okay. Then I'm cool with that. I'm very comfortable with where we're at. And then, so after A Clockwork Orange,
yes,
comes...
sorry, I went on my Clockwork Orange rant.
No, you're cool.
Then, so 4.42, then goes to American Graffiti with a 4.25. So like right under A Clockwork Orange, basically. Then you go to Taxi Driver, and then MASH. So Taxi Driver with a 3.53 again, and MASH had a 2.67 average.
Man. Yeah.
So
we're doing good still. I'm standing by this.
155%. The average month score for February, Star Wars is going to give a good kick up, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But this one kind of, I guess January has MASH. And that's a low one. And this one's kind of middle of the road.
That's a lot lower than this one.
I think these next two movies coming up, I think I don't know, this is going to be a pretty strong
It's going to be a pretty strong month here in February. Well, yeah, so that concludes the 1976 Taxi Driver episode. So would that total out of 5 end up shaking out to?
3.53.
3.53 out of 5 stars. And that's ultimately a 7 out of 10.
Which is still good.
Which is still really good. That's still a good movie. I think that's important for context, The rating out of 10 is what people are most accustomed to. They see 3.5 and they're like, oh, that's low.
Was given an 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb, which is like pretty, like IMDb is critical too.
Yeah, they be tough with it. And we were a little bit more critical than IMDb this time around, I suppose. But it is what it shall be.
Maybe this does deserve a rewatch.
Just now that you've watched it?
Like maybe this is because okay. I can see like A Clockwork Orange. I liked it immediately on the first watch, but then I liked it even more on the second. And I think this movie can only get better with a rewatch. I don't think it can get worse.
I think that could probably be said for all of the movies we've watched so far. I think that's the value of dramas specifically. Like, the only one that I think might actually get worse would be MASH. And that's just because it's a comedy, and whenever you rewatch comedies, the jokes naturally fall more flat. It's just something that happens.
This is like IMDb breaks down the ratings by age too. And younger people like this movie way more than older people.
I could say that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Older people are giving it like low 8, high 7, and then like young people are giving it high 8. Like almost 9 out of 10.
Damn.
Which I don't know about that. I don't know about this being a 9 out of a 10 movie. Like,
nah, I can't.
That's insane. And 8 is sounding more reasonable.
For sure.
But
we ultimately landed at that like 7-ish
like
mark.
7, like 7-1 basically.
Yeah.
Like, were we a little too hard? I don't know.
Well, no, we weren't, because the critic side of it, we reflected on it well. It really is our enjoyment thing that really curbed the meter, and I think that like if we're sticking by our enjoyment thing, like that's going to be a part of all of the movies we watch. Like if we enjoy it, we enjoy it. If we don't, we don't. That's a part of how we're doing things here. Yeah. So I think we just gotta live with it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that does conclude The Taxi Driver. That's our 1976 movie, and obviously this project will take us all the way from 1970. For 52 weeks, we will cover a movie from each year, 1970 through 2022. 52 weeks. It adds up nice and pretty. And next week will be 1977, where me and Joe will finally get to talk about our pride and joy, George Lucas's Star Wars. Very excited, and this will be the only Star Wars movie I think we talk about as the focal point of a week, a Friday night episode of the 52 years of film. But it's worth it, because there's really no movie from 1977 that has had quite the impact that Star Wars had.
Arguably, movie ever. Not just the year 1977. So.
There you go. There you go. So I am just ecstatic to get watching that. And I mean, like, I know it's late, but we might have some talking to do after this. It might be time. So if you would, head to patreon.com/CoroBloom, where you'll find well over 21 hours of exclusive content at this point. All that money that I get over there goes back into making sure I can put the podcast on. It costs money to do this thing. I ain't doing no ad reads. I'm not a sellout, unless, of course, you're interested. If you would, go follow on Twitter at PennyBloomPod, where I'll keep you updated on what exactly we'll be doing week to week here. If a movie idea changes, or if anything like that. If any ideas change, that's where you'll be able to find out, and go follow on Twitter at PennyBloomPodcast. I was Colton Robertson, joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Please do me a favor and remember, peace, love, and bloom. And you're only as healthy as you feel.